right, guys, welcome. So this is page 2 of lesson 1.6, talking about relations and how things work. And this is the beginning where I want to make sure you guys get this part down. Okay, so this is going to be making sure you guys understand what the domain and what the range are, right? So I want you to start with by writing domain equals the x, which equals this. And then the range is going to be your y coordinates, which equals what? All right, so now we're going to do what we're going to do is we're going to do a grouping kind of setup like this. All right. And I want you to make sure you guys tell me what the domain and range are. Okay, so as we look at these graphs, we're going to go domain is left to right. So we're going to start on the left, okay, over here, and we're going to go this way on the graph. Okay, so as we go, where's our first dot? It's at -2. Then as you go next, the next one up there is -1. Then as you keep going, the next one is at 0. And then the last one is all the way over at 4. So that's our domain. Now range, you can either start at the top and go down, or you can go bottoms up. I usually like to go from the bottoms up. Okay, so that way you have a variable that's in the negative range still, right? So we usually go negative to positive. Same thing. I'd like to go negative to positive. So going vertically speaking, when you're going up, the first one you would hit would be -2. And then as you're going through the process here, the next range would be -1. And then it's going to be 3 and 4. Now, do I care that they're ordered pairs? No. I want you to give me what is the domain and what is the range for each graph. Okay, next one here, do the same thing, right? So domain and range, right? So same thing. This is the x coordinate and that's the y. So as I'm going left to right this way, I get my coordinates. Okay, so it's going to be -1, and then as I go, I've got a 2, got an x at 3, and an x at 4. So there's my domain. My range, start from the bottom up, is going this way. It's going to be -4, and then as you go through the process, it's going to be 0, and then it's a 2, and finally a 4, just like that. Okay, do me a favor. You guys now, I want you to focus. Start by annotating what you're doing. Domain equals x, and range equals y. Pause the video, ladies and gentlemen, and give me the numbers. All right, so the domain, left to right, right? We're going this way. So it's going to be -4. My other next x value as I go through is 1. Next one is a 2. Last one is a 3, right? And then the next one here is, we'll go purple. You're going from the bottom up. It's going to be -2. And I got one at 0. I've got a point at y is 1. And I have a point at y is also 3, just like that. Okay, please make sure as we go through, guys, as you guys understand what the domain and what the range is. All right, so now we're going to talk a little bit about a relation and we're going to analyze these graphs. Okay, so this was a more interesting and challenging, even for me, representation of what I want to make sure you guys do. Okay, so one thing I want to make sure you guys understand is we're going to find two values, and we need to start being able to look at a function of a graph and find the answers. Okay, f of x is the same thing. So this one right here, f of x equals -2. That's the same thing as basically saying y equals -2. So what I need you to find is what is the x value. If I look at this graph and I go where y, so this is my y, where y is -2, okay, my graph is actually, I have two possible answers. All right, my x is going to be equals either -1, or my x value is going to equal -4. Okay, hopefully you guys see that. So where y equals -2, which is right here, this is my 2 points. Okay, there's my x value. So my coordinate points would actually be right there. It would be what? -1, -2. Or my coordinate point would be -4. Oops, did that one wrong. Be -4, -2, just like that. Okay, pretty simple, right? Okay, so we're going to find f of -3. So what that means is we already given our x value. So we're x equals -3. What I want you guys to do is tell me what is the y value? So if I go over here where x is -3 and I go up, there's my dot right there. So in that case, my y value equals 4. So my point would be -3, 4, just like that. Okay, so what this means is that you guys need to understand that instead of, see how this is f of x? Well, they're replacing x with -3, so that's how I get this number. All right, well, let's do this again. So when f of x equals -4, it's the same thing as saying y equals -4. And when y equals -4, x equals what? Well, when y is -4, going down, I'm at right here at this point, my x value is, so let me change the color here, x equals 0, right? All right, and then when f is f of 2, so that's how we say that when f of 2 is. So instead of having f of x, okay, it's going to say f of 2. So that means my x value is 2. So what is my y value at that point? And so what you do is when x is 2, you go over 2, down 2, it's right there. So my value is y equals -2. Okay, hopefully you guys understand. So what I want you to do is rewrite these formulas so you understand kind of what they mean, right? So last one here, change it to green. Okay, so when f of, and I'll change it here, f of -2 equals 0. So what they're saying is x equals -2. When x equals -2, you go over -2, you go up 2, and be right there, y equals 2, right? And then the last one would be on here when f of x equals 4. Or it's another way of saying when y equals 4. When y equals 4, what is it? So when y equals 4, the only way it's going to be 4 is right there. My x equals what? 0. That's the answer. Okay, what I want you guys to do is study this real quick, but finish these 3 problems for me. All right, we'll rewrite these again, kind of what I was telling you guys earlier, right? So when f of x equals 3, that's when y equals 3. And when y equals 3, we actually have 2 points here. And this one, it could be either here or here. So what that means is my x is -1, and it's also 2, right? There's 2 different possibilities for that one. And then when the other value is here, when f of x equals 3, which is basically saying, oh, I needed that one, sorry. The other one here would be f of 1 equals 0, which means x equals 1. And when x equals 1, it's right there, right? Then that means y equals 0. So there's our values, okay? F of 3, same thing. So I'm going to go f of x equals 2, right? Which means y equals 2. And when y equals 2, it's kind of the same setup. So y is 2. I got a point here. I got a point here. That means x is 1 or 4. And then the other one here is when, let's change that, when f of 3 equals something we don't know. We just know that x equals 3. So when I go over to 3 and I go down, my x value is -2, right? Just like that. Okay, and then the last one here, same thing. So f of x, f of x equals -1. So y equals -1. So that means when y is -1, it could be either 2, -2 or 2, right? So when f of x equals -1, it means y equals -1, which means x equals 2 or -2, right? And then when f is 1, okay, we don't know what that is, but what it's saying is that x equals 1. And when x equals 1, our value comes out to be right there, y equals -4. Hopefully you guys understand this concept, okay? Because this is going to be on the homework, and it's actually kind of challenging at this point in your academic equations because I don't think you guys have ever looked at this. Last one here, and we're going to talk about basically determine the behavior of a function. Okay, so tell me what is this graph doing between A to B? This relation, okay, it is actually what? It's decreasing. From B to C, it would be increasing, right? Because the slope is going up. You guys know it's positive. C to D would be no change. And then from D to E is increasing. All right, what I want you guys to do is do the last one by yourself real quick. So pause the video and you guys go. All right, this one here, A to B, increase. Then it decrease. Then there is no change, but then again, unfortunately, it does decrease. If you're looking at a stock or a stock market or like a roller coaster ride, especially financial markets, you want the first graph over the second graph, right? The first graph, we took a big dip, but we've gained and we're going great. The second graph, we went awesome at the beginning, but then we started going downhill from there. So that is a good real world example. So hopefully you guys work on the homework. If it's a struggle this week, make sure when we get into class that you guys ask questions about it. Don't wait till the last minute and don't send messages on Sunday. Do the work as soon as you can so that if you have a problem, you can talk to those teachers about it. Good luck, and I know you guys will all do great.